If you are hearing these words right now, I want you to stop for a moment. Not forever, not for the rest of your day, just for this moment. Take a breath and allow yourself to step away from the noise, the endless notifications, the responsibilities, the expectations, the pressure to always be doing something. Because for the next few minutes, this is not about the world around you. This is about you. Have you ever felt like there was something more? Not more money, not more success, not more possessions. Something deeper, something difficult to explain. A feeling that life contains a meaning you haven't fully discovered yet. Many people experience this feeling, but most ignore it. They become busy, distracted, overwhelmed, and eventually the feeling fades into the background. Yet sometimes, usually in the quiet moments, it returns. Perhaps late at night, perhaps during a difficult season, perhaps after a disappointment, or perhaps after achieving something you once thought would make you happy, only to discover that something still feels missing. That feeling is not a weakness. It is curiosity. It is awareness. It is the beginning of growth. The truth is, every person who has ever transformed their life began with a question they could not ignore. Who am I becoming? Why am I here? What kind of life do I truly want to create? Most people spend years chasing answers outside themselves, looking for certainty, looking for approval, looking for someone else to tell them what their path should be. But eventually, many discover something important. The answers they seek cannot always be found in the noise. Sometimes they can only be found in stillness. And perhaps that is why you are here now. Not because of chance, not because of coincidence, but because a part of you is ready to listen more carefully to your own life. Ready to notice things you may have overlooked, ready to see possibilities you may have forgotten, ready to imagine a future larger than the one you have been settling for. And if that is true, then what comes next may be more important than you realize. Because the greatest transformations do not begin when circumstances change. They begin when perspective changes. And once your perspective changes, everything else begins to change as well. To understand why, we first need to talk about something that almost everyone experiences, but very few people truly understand. At some point in life, many people begin to notice something unusual. They look around and feel as though they experience the world differently than those around them. Not better, not worse, just differently. Perhaps you have felt it too. The feeling that your mind is constantly searching for deeper meaning. The feeling that surface-level conversations leave you unsatisfied. The feeling that there must be more to life than routines, distractions, and endless repetition. For some people, this feeling begins early. They ask questions others never ask. They notice things others never notice. They spend time thinking about life in ways their friends do not understand. And because of that, they sometimes feel alone. Not because they are physically alone, but because they feel unseen, misunderstood, disconnected. The interesting thing is that this experience is far more common than most people realize. Many individuals spend years believing they are the only ones who feel this way, when in reality, millions of people are asking similar questions. Questions like, what is my purpose? Why do I feel stuck? What am I supposed to learn from this? These questions are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs that you are paying attention. And attention is where transformation begins. Most people drift through life on autopilot. Wake up, repeat routines, react to circumstances, repeat the same patterns, year after year. But occasionally, someone pauses long enough to examine the direction they are heading. That moment changes everything. Because once you become aware of a pattern, you gain the ability to change it. And that realization can be both exciting and uncomfortable. Because awareness often reveals things we have been avoiding. Habits, beliefs, fears, excuses. Things that once felt invisible suddenly become impossible to ignore. Yet this is where growth truly begins. Not when everything is perfect, not when life becomes easy, but when honesty enters the picture. When you stop pretending, when you stop running, when you stop waiting for the perfect moment, and instead, you begin facing your life exactly as it is. Because only then can you start creating the life you truly want. And what happens next is something most people never expect. What most people don't realize is that transformation rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive with certainty. It doesn't arrive with a perfect plan. And it certainly doesn't arrive when you feel completely ready. Instead, it often begins during periods of confusion. Moments when life feels uncertain. Moments when old answers stop working. Moments when the future feels unclear. At first, these periods can feel uncomfortable. You may feel as though you are losing direction, as though something important is shifting beneath your feet. But sometimes, that feeling is not a sign that you are lost. Sometimes it is a sign that you are growing, because growth requires change, and change requires letting go. Think about every chapter of your life. There were versions of yourself that existed years ago, that no longer exist today. The person you were as a child, the person you were as a teenager, the person you were 5 years ago. Each version had different fears, different dreams, different beliefs, different priorities. And yet, without even noticing it, you continued evolving. Life changed you. Experiences changed you. Lessons changed you. And now, another transformation may already be taking place. The challenge is that transformation often feels like uncertainty while it is happening. The caterpillar does not understand the process while it is inside the cocoon. It only experiences change. And many people experience life the same way. They are in the middle of becoming someone new, without realizing it. Perhaps that is why some chapters of life feel so strange. You no longer feel connected to your old way of thinking, yet you have not fully stepped into the next version of yourself. You find yourself somewhere in between. And that space can feel uncomfortable. But it is also where growth happens. Because in that space, you begin asking better questions. You begin noticing patterns. You begin paying attention. You begin seeing possibilities that once felt invisible. For some people, this begins after a disappointment. For others, it begins after a success that failed to bring fulfillment. And for many, it begins when they realize they have been living according to expectations rather than purpose. That realization can be powerful. Because the moment you stop living on autopilot, you regain something important. Choice. The ability to choose your direction. The ability to choose your response. The ability to choose who you are becoming. And while you cannot control everything that happens in life, you can always influence what happens next. That is where your power exists. Not in the past, not in regret, not in fear, but in the decisions you make today. Every meaningful future is built one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one conversation at a time, one courageous step at a time. The problem is that many people underestimate small actions. They wait for a dramatic breakthrough, a life-changing moment, a perfect opportunity. Yet most transformations begin quietly. A new mindset, a new routine, a new perspective, a new belief. And over time, those small changes begin creating larger results. Until one day, you look back and realize your life is completely different. Not because of one single event, but because of hundreds of small choices made consistently. And perhaps that is the message you need to hear today. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need all the answers. You do not need to see the entire path. You only need enough courage to take the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Because clarity rarely comes before action. More often, clarity comes because of action. And once you begin moving forward, life starts revealing possibilities that were impossible to see while standing still. Which brings us to something even more important. The quiet voice inside you that already knows more than you think.
There is something interesting about human beings. Most people spend years learning how to listen to everyone else. Their family, their friends, their teachers, society, the news, social media. Everyone seems to have an opinion about how life should be lived, what success looks like, what happiness looks like, what kind of person you should become. And while advice can be valuable, there comes a moment when every person must ask themselves a difficult question. What do I truly believe? Not what others expect, not what others want, not what others have told me, but what feels true to me. This question is often uncomfortable, because many people discover that they have spent years following paths they never consciously chose. Paths built from expectations, paths built from fear, paths built from the desire to avoid disappointment. And eventually, they wake up one day and realize they no longer recognize the person they have become, not because they failed, but because they drifted. The truth is, drifting is easy. It requires no intention, no awareness, no decision-making. You simply follow the current. But creating a meaningful life requires something different. It requires consciousness. It requires attention. It requires courage. Because the moment you decide to live intentionally, you begin taking responsibility for your direction. And responsibility can feel heavy at first. Because it means accepting that your future is influenced by your choices, your habits, your mindset, your actions, the way you respond to challenges. But hidden inside that responsibility is something powerful: freedom. Because if your choices matter, then your future is not fixed. It is flexible. It can change. It can improve. It can become something greater than you currently imagine. Many people underestimate themselves. They look at where they are today and assume that is all they are capable of. They forget how much a person can grow in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Think about who you were a decade ago. How different was your thinking? How different were your priorities? How different were your dreams? Change happens, whether we notice it or not. The real question is whether we participate in that change consciously. Because when growth becomes intentional, everything accelerates. You begin reading differently, learning differently, listening differently. You become more selective about what influences your mind, more protective of your energy, more aware of your environment. And slowly, your life begins reflecting those choices. One of the greatest skills you can develop is the ability to spend time alone with your thoughts. Not because isolation is the goal, but because clarity often emerges in silence. The modern world is filled with noise, constant stimulation, constant distraction, constant comparison. And yet, some of the most important answers in life arrive when everything becomes quiet. When you stop scrolling, when you stop rushing, when you stop reacting, and simply sit with yourself. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. Many people avoid silence because silence forces honesty. It reveals fears, it reveals doubts, it reveals truths we have been avoiding. But if you remain there long enough, something remarkable begins to happen. The noise starts fading. And beneath that noise, you begin hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You begin recognizing what truly matters, what truly motivates you, what truly brings meaning to your life. And that awareness becomes a compass, not a map, not a guarantee, not a prediction, a compass. Something that helps guide your direction. Because nobody can live your life for you. Nobody can make every decision for you. Nobody can walk your path for you. only you can do that. And the more you trust your ability to learn, adapt, and grow, the less afraid you become of uncertainty. Because you realize something important. You do not need certainty to move forward. You only need trust. Trust that you can handle challenge.
There comes a moment in many people's lives when they begin asking a different kind of question.
Not, what do I want to have? But, what kind of person do I want to become? The difference between those questions is profound. One focuses on possessions. The other focuses on identity. And identity shapes everything. Because every action you take, every decision you make, every habit you repeat, is influenced by the person you believe yourself to be. For years, many people chase goals because they think those goals will finally make them happy. A new job, more money, recognition, success, approval. And while there is nothing wrong with achievement, many eventually discover something surprising. Achievement alone does not create fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from alignment. The feeling that your actions reflect your values, the feeling that your life reflects what truly matters to you. Purpose is often misunderstood. Many imagine it as one grand mission. One magical answer. One perfect path. But purpose is rarely revealed all at once. More often, it reveals itself through action. Through curiosity, through experience. Through growth. You discover purpose by living, not by waiting. Every meaningful journey begins with small steps, a conversation, a new skill, a new opportunity, a decision to keep going. And often, those small moments eventually connect in ways you never expected. Looking back, they seem obvious. But while you are living them, they rarely make sense. That is why patience matters. Growth takes time. Purpose takes time. Transformation takes time. The strongest trees do not grow overnight. The deepest wisdom is not learned in a weekend. The most meaningful lives are built gradually. One day at a time. One choice at a time. One lesson at a time. If there is one thing to remember, it is this: you do not need to know every step of the journey. You only need enough courage to take the next one. Because every future begins in the present moment. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. And the person you become tomorrow is being shaped by the choices you make today. So ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to build? What kind of person do I want to become? And what small action can I take today that moves me closer to that vision? Because greatness is not created through one extraordinary moment. It is created through ordinary moments repeated consistently over time. And perhaps, your next chapter is already waiting for you. The only question is, whether you are ready to step into it. And that brings us to the final message. The reminder that may matter more than anything you have heard today.
Before this message comes to an end, there is one final thought I want to leave with you. A thought that has the power to change the way you see yourself, the way you see your challenges, and the way you see your future. The truth is, you are far more capable than you realize. Not because life will always be easy, not because every plan will work out, not because every dream will arrive exactly when you want it to, but because human beings are remarkably resilient. Again and again, people survive things they once believed would break them. They adapt, they learn, they grow, they continue. And often, they emerge stronger than before. Think about everything you have already overcome. The difficult days, the disappointments, the uncertainty, the moments when you doubted yourself. There were times when you did not know how things would work out. Yet somehow, you kept moving forward. You are still here. And that matters. Because every challenge you have faced has taught you something, even if you could not see it at the time. Every setback carried a lesson. Every obstacle revealed a strength. Every difficult season contributed to the person you are becoming. Life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to continue growing, to continue learning, to continue becoming. Many people spend years waiting for confidence before taking action. But confidence rarely comes first. Action comes first.